Well, welcome back to another Sty Times. It's great to see y'all. Yeah, awesome. Metal Music Maniac was out there with first comment in the chat today, and followed up by Rain Dancer. Happy Valentine's Day to you too, sweetheart. Yeah, Valentine's Day. Oh, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't much celebrate that much anymore. Um, Today's topic: fears. I'm scared. Yeah, yeah. Fears, lots of fears. Life's packed full of fear, full of fear. Every time we turn around, there's something new to be fearful about. I see Everlasting Soul just popped in the chat. It's great to see you. But a lot of folk, I guess, it just seems like it. There's a lot of folks that suffer from fear of some sort. They've got fears about things. And sometimes they're fears that you can't control. There's things that you could be scared of and have a fear of, and there ain't anything you can do about it. And you're just going to be fearful of it. But then a lot of other fears are fears more of the unknown. And I kind of look at fear that way. There's two different types of situations. You've got the fear of the unknown. Oh, yeah. I think we all kind of have that, you know? I think we all do. But then you have the fear of the known. Now, it's the fear of the known that I'm talking about when I say out of your control. You see something coming your way and you're in harm's way. It's coming. Well, you know that. You know for a fact it's going to happen. And your fear starts to build. It goes back to the primeval instinctual reaction. Fight or flight, you know. Your fears triggered fight or flight. But those are fears more of the known. Now, fight flight will kick in during a fear of the unknown, something you didn't see coming, something you didn't expect, and boo, fight or flight. So, but you can just about count on it with fears of the known, what's coming at you, that you're going to react with fight or flight. Well, what do most of us do if we have something we know that we're going to be fearful of and it's coming our way? We try to cope with that fear, put it under control, hold it down, so we can decide, do we want to stand our ground against this fear or do we want to run from it, get away from it? We give ourselves that opportunity before we react. Fears of the unknown, your fight or flight reaction, you don't have time to think about it. You just go with your instincts, right? Right. That's that somebody sneaking up behind you, giving you the old poke. Boo! Fight or flight. Pow! Poke me again. You know? And you're going, oh, what did I do that for? They're just teasing. Fears. Yep, we all have them. I've had characters say, I ain't scared of nothing. Ain't scared of nothing. And I knew them long enough through their lives that I got to see them get scared a few times. And I go, oh, I thought you had no fears. Well, I don't. Well, you sure jumped that time. Well, that was just a surprise. Well, you can call it whatever you want, but it's a fear. You obviously, inside you, something like that happening is a fear. We all have fears of some kind. There's things that just freak us out. And we're scared. We're scared of them. I think a lot of our fears, and I've heard that term a lot. Oh, that's an unjustified fear. That's an unjustified fear. There's no reason for you to be afraid of that. Well, there's always some reason why a person's afraid of something. And when we talk about different fears and how people react to different fears this evening, and some of them, I think some of you can relate to. Some of them you'll say, why were they scared of that? Each and every one of us has our own fears. Some things scare us, some things don't. And I'll use myself as an example for some of them. I'll give you one right off the top of my head. I have a fear of heights, right? I don't like real high places on the edge of something. But guess where you'll find me? In real high places, right on the edge of something. And what will happen? Inevitably, it happens all the time with me. I'll screw up and I come that close, just so close to that fear becoming a reality. It's not something to be afraid of anymore because it's happening. I did that with a waterfall that I had never been to before, and I'm in the woods trying to get in a position where I can get a good look at that waterfall. And I took one wrong step and I slid down a steep embankment, and I managed to hit this big red pine tree, and that stopped me. If I would have missed that tree, I would have had between 60 and 100-foot drop into a gorge that was all rock bottom with the river running through it. I would have never survived that fall. When I was walking through those woods and I come to the top of that hill and I'm looking down, there's that waterfall down through the trees. I want to get down to the edge down there and get a good look at it. I had a little uneasy feeling. I was fearful. I'm looking down there going, boy, that's steep. But I can go slow. I'll just go down slow. And I could feel the fear. But I pushed myself beyond the fear. And what happened? Fell on my butt, slid down that embankment, and could have killed myself. The fear was right. Don't get too close. Don't get too close. But I did anyway. And we do that with our fears all the time. We do whatever we can to push ourselves beyond the fear. Let's go beyond the fear, right? Well, sometimes it works out just fine. And we realize, that was an unjustified fear. Other times, we realize, oh man, I should have listened to my fear. My fear was warning me, but I went and did it anyway. Fears. It all starts out when we're a little kid. You see little kids, they're scared of all kinds of things. But then again, they're not afraid of things you would think they would be. I've seen little kids, little buggers, walk right up to the meanest, nastiest looking dog you ever saw. Oh, puppy, puppy, puppy. And you're like, and now you got fear. That dog's going to eat my kid. And if you're fortunate, the dog doesn't react to the kid. And usually a lot of times that's what happens is because the dog might be an ornery, mean dog, but a little kid coming up on it and going, puppy, oh, puppy. A dog can read whether or not you've got fear or not. And the dog reads no fear in that kid and doesn't perceive any threat. So the dog doesn't react. It's almost like it's in shock. That kid ain't afraid of me, ain't scared of me. But boy, oh boy, all these big people are. They're scared to death of me, and I'll bite them. I'll bite them. Because their fear is right. I'll bite them. Well, oh, out in the chat, Ben Kroll is asking, is it dark here yet? It's sunset. It's sunset. The sun is just setting. Out my big picture window off to the left here. Curtains are closed right now, but they're not sheer, but I can see fairly good through them. And I can see the sunset out there right now. Kind of pretty, orange colored kind of sky. Yeah, it's that time of day. That time of day, sun setting. But I think we're all born with natural fears, you know. And those are survival type fears. Those are hereditary. They're born into us. Certain things will scare us and make us nervous, make the pulse rate go up, the blood pressure go up, and we get the shakes or whatever reaction. And I think it's pretty generalized across everybody that we're born with a natural instinct to fear certain things. Well, I've got a grandson that he's half Cameroonian, from Cameroon, Africa. He's half Cameroonian. And we're joking around out in the backyard one day. This is several years back. Just clowning around out in the backyard, everybody enjoying it outside. I had a lot of trees in my yard. Well, I had this one big oak tree. It had some kind of lower limbs on it. Well, if you're, say, 6 feet tall, you could jump up and grab that limb and get up there on that limb. And it had so many limbs, you could climb your way right up that thing. My grandson, half Cameroonian, right? He so much. He still wants to go visit Africa. He wants to go to Africa so bad. I hope he gets the opportunity someday. But he said, we're talking about fears, and he's saying, boy, that's such a big tree. I'd really like to climb to the top of that thing up there. I said, well, then do it. He says, nah, I'm kind of scared. He says, I get up there, I might fall down. I don't know. He says, really, I don't think there's anything that'd ever get me to climb up there. I said, well, if you still lived in Africa, I said, I know something that gets you up there. And he said, what's that? And I said, somebody yelling, lion. He looked at me and he hesitated, thought for a second. He goes, Grandpa, I get it. No kidding. My fear of that tree is nowhere near the fear of having a lion getting his paws on me. So you're right, man. If I was where there's lions and this tree was standing there, but there's no sign of a lion, I'm going to go, I ain't climbing that thing. I'm scared of that thing. But if someone yells lion, he says, I'd be at the top of that tree. You guys would have to be coming up behind me. He says, you're absolutely right, Grandpa. He says, what happened to he says, isn't that a good question? What happened to my fear of climbing the tree? I said, the value in it disappeared the minute the lion showed up. I believe we need to allow our minds the opportunity to weigh our fears and say, oh, wow, I'm scared of that. But wait a minute, if I don't do that, I got to deal with this, and that's scarier yet. So I'll go ahead and get beyond that fear. Yep. He got it figured out. I don't know if it was to his benefit or not. He seems to be pretty fearless nowadays. As long as there aren't any lions involved. He was a little nervous. I brought him, he came out, stayed in my wilderness camp for a summer, and we'd go off into the woods and explore. And he had a fear of bears. And I told him, don't be afraid of the bears. Don't be afraid of the bears. I said, have a good, healthy respect for them, but don't be afraid of them. Because if you're afraid of them, you'll never go out in the woods. Well, he learned that he could go out in the woods and doesn't have to be fearful. He just has to be aware and cautious, not fearful, but cautious, and understand that he may run into a bear. But he knew all the rules about dealing with wilderness bears, so why be so fearful about it? Just follow those rules and everything should be just fine. So he got over that fear. He learned to get over that fear, which was awesome. I see Raven the Blackbird's out in the chat. Today is his 56th birthday. Happy birthday there, Russell. It is so nice of you to stop on in. And I see you got your letter. That's good. I'm glad you got your mail. Kathy Gahan got hers. And I believe Sendaloo got hers. Or maybe she didn't. There's a few folks who got theirs. I'm just so upset with our mail service right now. Everybody should have gotten theirs this time last week, Tuesday, Wednesday. They should have gotten it last week, but oh well. As long as it gets there. As long as it gets there. Yeah, just trying to catch up. But fears. I was one, and not having enough fear in your life can be a hazard in itself. And I was one when I was growing up. I didn't have enough fear in my life. Things I had no knowledge of and no experience of, had no one instruct me on. I'd jump in, do it anyway, without enough information. And there were things that other people would say, yeah, I ain't doing that. I'm scared of that. Have Sty do it. He'll do anything, And it was because I didn't have enough fear at times. And I think a lot of things that happen, events in our lives, can kind of affect some of our fears, where fears don't matter as much, or they'll say matter more. You know, I was one where I could shed off most fears and say, I ain't scared, I'll do it. But yet there are some things that, and I tell people, it's not that I'm afraid of something. It's not that it's not a fear. I don't go around scared. But there's things in the world that freak me out where I just like, ooh. And I don't class it as a fear because I don't think about it. I don't worry about it. I don't have that fear going into something. But then something will freak me out and I'll go, oh, yeah, whoa, yeah, that was weird. Freaked me out. But it doesn't create a permanent fear in me. That's like spiders. They're crawling on me. That freaks me out, man. The feeling of a spider crawling on me. But once I figure out where he's at, I'm not scared of him anymore. I have no fear. I'll play with him and I'll mess with him. Because here where I live, if a spider's crawling on you, you're just a convenient trail for him to get somewhere. They're not out to bite you. They're not going to bite you. Now, it's the same with most bees. I know people. I got a friend. He's big, burly character. All you have to do is say, bee. Oh, man. He gets up and he's swatting. He doesn't even know. You could be saying bee about a bee that's 20 feet the other direction, and he's swatting and getting up, and he says, I'm getting out of here. He's got this huge, huge fear of bees. And I asked him, I said, did you get into a bad bee's nest and get all bit up? And he goes, I've only been stung twice. He said, they scare me to death. They scare me to death. Hey, it's great to see you, Ingalls family, out there in the chat. But he's scared to death of bees. Scared to death of them. And he's a big, burly guy. There's only certain critters like bees that I have a fear of. One is mud wasps. There's nothing about mud wasps that I like. To me, they're scary because they will chase you down. They're intent on chasing you down. Now, I've had bumblebees land on me. I've even pet bumblebees, and they don't sting me. I've had yellow jackets land on me, and they're lapping up sweat, and then they fly off. They don't sting you. They sting you if they feel threatened, so don't try to touch them. Just let him do his thing and leave. But most of us won't do that. They'll go, oh, yellow jacket, because they know they've been stung by one, and they'll swat it or knock it off of them. Ooh, bad, bad, bad. It's because of a fear they've developed over that type of critter. Well, I've seen people that were afraid of such mundane things. There's a gal I met, and she was a very young adult, scared to death of rabbits. We're at this guy's house, and he's got all these rabbit hutches. Everybody had a bunny. We're all petting these rabbits, having a good time. Then the next thing you know, here she is. And I go, oh, and I had this big, beautiful, fluffy rabbit. I go, here, hold this bunny. These are not. She started freaking out, boy. Don't get close to me with that thing. I said, why? It won't hurt you. And she says, oh, yeah, they kick like mad. They're mean. Well, she had an experience with one rabbit that was that way. Oh, well, thank you very much. Um, Phil just put a comment up there, coming up on 2 years of membership. That is so awesome. Um, yeah, he's been an outdoor lover forever, man. Yeah, yeah, he's one of Sty's anchors. I mean, yeah, he helps hold Sty together, boy. That's that is so kind of you, Phil, to be a member for that long. The yes, sir. The now, yeah, he got all the mankinis, man. That's great. He's showing up in the chat. Thumbs up, mankini. He's the mankini man. The now with fear, it's like I said, there's so many events in life that causes us to develop a core fear for something, that some particular thing or action or event kind of thing will scare us to death. We have that ingrained fear. Now, a lot of people, YouTube's a good example. A lot of people they say, oh no, I'm not coming up on your panel. Well, then why don't you do some more videos of your own? Why don't you do live streams? No, no, no. I got this fear of getting in front of a lot of people. You're getting in front of a camera on your phone or on your laptop or on a webcam. There ain't nobody else there except you. Yeah, you might be talking to, heck, some creators are talking 1,000+ people at one time. You're afraid of something that's really not even there. It's out there. It's not there in front of you. It can't hurt you. But you've got that fear. It's stage fright. Hey, Lawn Dog, good to see ya. Good to see ya. The the whole idea of fears, the whole idea of fears, to me, I think a person should practice how to manage their fears. Because a lot of times, because of fear, we react the wrong way. We overreact because we allowed the fear to trigger our instincts to fight or flight, where it might just be stop and understand is all I need to do, because I don't need to run. I don't need to fight. It's like they said, if you got a big, huge crowd of people, all somebody has to do is go, oh crap, and turn and start running. And you watch how many people will just turn and start running with them. And it's all out of fears they have. They've got a fear that something's going to happen to them. They haven't a clue what it is, but something's going to happen to me. So I got to be careful, man. I'm scared. And then somebody overacts, and reacts. And what do? You just react. You don't fight or flight. Man, it's run. I've seen guys, big loud noise, nobody expected. Boom! And I've seen guys, boy, they got the fists up there ready. They obviously have a fear that somebody's going to want to take a punch at them. So they cock right up. They're ready, man. I'm ready. Instead of going, where did that sound come from? What was that? That's not fear. That's just taking control and saying, I'm not going to decide whether to fight or flight until I know whether it's a true risk or not. Lawn dog, yeah, it sounds more like herd mentality. And it is. People are just as vulnerable to herd mentality as the herd. I've seen it so many times in my life where one or two people overreact to something and all the people around them act fearfully. They all of a sudden they're reacting, and not one of them has a single clue what it was about. And I think the mature thing to do is learn how to manage our fears. Now I'm going to get back into individuals and some of their individual fears right after we take a quick visit to all my channel members, and the one that just updated his channel membership, Phil. You'll see him in the Outdoor Lovers right up front. And this takes less than 50 seconds, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Don't make me be afraid that there won't be anybody here. I'll see you in a moment. I see where Lawn Dog's talking about herd mentality again, and how people just kind of fall in line, do what everybody else does, and that's because we're such a social animal, two-legged social sheep, that humans have a tendency of just kind of following lead. And if the majority is doing something, everybody else, even though they may not have all the details or understanding, will just do what everybody else is doing, And that's a fear I have, is that I might fall unwittingly prey to just mimicking everybody else and just doing what they do. They wouldn't be doing all this if it wasn't the right thing to do, so I better do it too. And I have to reel myself in and say, ... You may end up doing that, but you may not. Once you have some information and you know whether you should fight or flight, right? And that's where I say, as mature individuals, we need to manage our fears. We need to learn how to manage them. Now, here's a character that, I worked with this guy for several years. This guy was as hard as nails, tough. He was a partner of mine. And with our employees, with the staff, we had a tree service. It ended up being all his tree service, but he was tough. He was tough, man. He was hard on the employees. Do the job, man. He's right on you. Do the job. And I got into tree climbing for a while, and I was always nervous. I had a fear of heights, I did it anyway, but I had a fear of heights. He didn't have no fear of heights, man. Zip, zip, zip up and down them trees. He didn't care. He did all kinds of risky, crazy things. And he didn't seem to be afraid of anything. There were times where I'd say, whoa, 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 don't do that. You could. And he'd do it anyway. And I'd go, man, are you lucky? You could have hurt yourself. And one day, we're going to haul lumber up to his deer shack way up in northern Minnesota. He's so proud of himself because he had saved all this lumber to take up there. We could build an addition on his deer shack. Well, that big stack of lumber had been sitting there all summer, and this is late summer, early fall. I went over just to check that lumber out because it had been sitting there for so long. I thought, I hope it's not rotten or anything. And I picked this board up. Now, this board was 2 by 6 inch board, 12 feet long, right? You know, a whole stack of them. We're going to load all them up in the back of the pickup truck. I picked one up and just was checking it out, and I looked, and underneath it, there was a dead snake, a dead garter snake. They're not poisonous. We got them all over Minnesota, Wisconsin. Well, they're all over the damn country. But so it's a dead garter snake. It's not going to hurt you. It's dead. And I thought this ought to be funny. So what I did was, because he was kind of curled up, I slid that board out a ways and I stuck that snake under there so that when you grabbed the board, you'd be grabbing the snake. So if you lift the board up, you'd have that snake in your hands, right? Here comes Chuck down the hill. He says, hey, you ready to load that lumber? I said, yeah, because I had already backed the truck up. It's all set. I wasn't going to do it alone. Come on, it's your deer shack. You're going to help me load the lumber. And I go, hey, grab that end of this first 2 by 6 there. Now, I told you it's 12 feet long, right? I'm at the other end, and I already got a hold of my end, right? He grabbed that, and he lifted it up, and I could see down there that snake is hanging. He's got both hands under that board, and that snake is hanging over his hands. And I yell at him, I go, Chuck, what's that in your hands? And he goes, that's a board. I said, no, underneath the board. And he looks, and he's seen the head end of that snake hanging there. That board stood right up on end in my hands. All of a sudden, I got a 12-foot board standing straight up in the air. That's how hard he flung that thing. And the snake's flipping up, and he's running up this hill towards his house. He gets up by his garage, and he stops, and he looks down the hill, and he goes, find that thing and kill it. I said, get down here. He says, not till you find that thing, get rid of it. I said, it's dead. It was a dead snake, bud. It took him about 15 minutes to get brave enough to come back down to that pile and help me help me finish loading it all in the truck. Well, we never found another snake. And what did he do? He went to our work shed, and we had a hay hook in there. It's just a big metal hook with a wooden handle. And he used that hay hook to lift up a board, and he'd look under it, then he'd grab it, and then we could load it. Every single board. And we must have loaded 50 boards in that truck. But every board he picked up with that hay hook and looked under it for a snake. I never knew he was scared of snakes like that. Well, I asked his wife about it, and she said, oh, he can't even look at it. If you were sitting at the dinner table and he was just ready to take his first bite, and you walked up with a National Geographic, opened up and said, look at that snake, he'd go without dinner. He'd be up away from that table yelling at you, get rid of that magazine, get it out of the house. He can't even stand pictures of it. If he sees a snake on TV, he doesn't watch TV for at least a day. He's that scared of snakes. And I asked her why. And she said even his own parents never have figured out. He said he's afraid of them just because snakes will bite you. They're bad, they'll bite you. Well, not all snakes do. Garter snakes don't attack you. They ain't going to strike you and bite you. The lawn dog saying that they got possibility of scorpions under their wood piles. Oh yeah, when I used to stay down in New Mexico, we go up in the mountains and hike and camp. And I don't know how many times I've shaken a tarantula or a scorpion out of my boots in the morning, or wake up and my mosquito net, because I use it like a pup tent, mosquito net. Wake up and there'd be 4 or 5 tarantulas on it, or look outside of it and there's a bunch of scorpions running around it close by. They're trying to get warm. They're trying to get close to your body heat. They never freaked me out. I didn't have a fear of them. I got bit by a tarantula once. Boy, that hurt, man. That was like I got stung by 6 mud wasps all at once. Yeah, that hurt. Boy, that hurt. I got bit in the left hand, and that hand was useless for about a day and a half. It hurt so much. It hurt bad. It swelled up pretty good. Oh yeah, hike with Mike. It's great to see you, by the way, buddy. He's out there in the chat, and he's saying that he's never had a aggressive snake, and he's out in the Florida swamps all the time, man. And he's actually rescued some, saved them, getting them off of the roadways so that they don't get run over. Yeah, he wants to film some scorpions at night because they'll glow. Yeah. When you're using UV light on them, they glow. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's it. Is creatures are creatures, and they'll do what they do. And it's like I said, it's somewhat unreasonable to have a fear of them. You need to understand them. You need to understand where they'll be, what they'll do, how dangerous are they. And if you have a good understanding of them, the fear goes away and just a healthy respect remains. Adventures in the Heartland, John, it's great to see you. Loved your last video that you posted up. Beautiful hike through the what was it? The Lime something trail down by Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin. Lake Winnebago. Kind of a famed lake in our state for sturgeon fishing. Yeah. Yeah, Mike, that's right. I have more fear of humans in the great outdoors than I do of any critter. I have a huge respect for grizzly bears. A huge respect for them. I don't have a fear of them, but I do have a very, very healthy respect for them. But when it comes to humans, I have a fear. When I'm out alone anywhere and a person presents themselves, and I don't expect there to be people, fear kicks in. And that's where I have to manage my fear. and say, whoa, don't overreact. Check them out. Get a good understanding before I decide whether I'm going to fight or flight this person. Now, in that case, if it's convenient, because I do have a fear of other people that are unknown to me, if I feel they don't know I'm there, but I know they are, I can see them, they're there, I may evade. I may evade them, go around them, or head back down the trail the way I came, go somewhere else. But the minute I think they're aware I'm there, then I try to read them the best I can so I can decide, make a good judgment as to whether or not I do need to be fearful of that person, or just kind of have a healthy respect that they may not be what they appear. With people, you just never know. There's Justin Anderson out there in the chat. It's good to see you. What the heck was it? Oh, yeah, Lawn Dog is talking about 10, 15 years ago, not uncommon to see like a sidewinder rattlesnakes in that. That's like, I've been in those situations where because of development and agriculture and stuff, a lot of animals that used to be around, you just don't see them anymore. They're just not there. Their habitat has been disrupted. Yeah. Lawn Dog says, what about finding people arguing with someone who isn't there, or talking to somebody that you can't see aggressively, and then what do you do? Oh, that's when you skirt way around them, or you head back the way you came, get the heck out of there. Now, however, if I think they're aware I'm there, I'll keep an eye on them. I won't just walk up and say, hello there, you goofball, and see how they act and react. And they might be just a normal person. I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't people that saw me coming down a trail and I didn't notice them, and they got off trail and went way around me. Because I'll do that at times. In the spring of the year when the black bears are coming out and they got cubs, I'm walking down the trail talking away. I can't sing worth the shit, so I just talk to myself. But I'm talking away for good reason, and that's to make darn sure that there ain't no bears out there. Don't hear me come. Sometimes I'll carry a bear bell on my hiking stick. Then I don't have to talk as much. But if you were to see me, you'd say, there's a guy that's crazy. Listen to him. He's talking away. And I don't, yeah. Mike always carries bear spray. Yep. Hey, Kitty Purrs, good to see you out there in the chat, Kitty Purrs. But then there's what I consider created fear, intentionally created. We have people that try to get us afraid of things intentionally. They do that to try to sell things to you. Did you know that without this product, this, and this can happen to you? They're developing a fear in you that this, and this is going to happen to you. But they've got the answer. Buy this. That's another form of fear that we really have to watch out for. People love to create fear for their own gain. For their own gain. And then there's fears for real wrongful gain. Terrorists are a good example. They say, well, why do they attack this way or that way? Anytime a terrorist does something, they're doing it to create fear. They don't care about the lives and the deaths of the individuals impacted by it. What they care about is the mass fear they can create. And that's where we need to hold on to our hats when something traumatic happens. Don't let someone use that to develop a fear in you when in fact what it should develop in you is a good understanding of what they're up to, what's going on, and how to counter it. Don't just get fearful and then hide. And that's what a lot of people do in this era, is when fears are developed or presented to us in a way that they're selling it to us. There's something going on, and you probably don't need to be afraid of it. There's an underlying reason they're trying to create a fear. Because for us, other than our socialization, if you're isolated and you have no others around you, the fears that you react to are instinctual fears. They're fears that are built into the fiber of who you are. Those are true fears. Hike with Mike? Yeah. I'm totally with Hike with Mike. And that's what I had said at the very beginning. You may have missed it, Mike, but I had brought exactly that up. The biggest fear in my mind is the fear of the unknown. That's mine. I fear a lot of different types of unknowns. And I had someone, when I told them that, they said, oh, then you've got a fear of death then, don't you? Well, nobody wants to die, but I don't have a fear of it. And I see when death knocks on my door, it's just, to me, I'm looking in the horizon. It's just another adventure. Here I go. So do I have a fear for death? Not as much as I have a good, respectful. I've got a healthy respect for life and death. Native, Kutsa, awesome. Love you, girl. And Gemma Journey Grace, I see her out there. She's chatting away, talking with Mike. And yeah, and she used the example like when people are fearful of autism, fearful of different people. That's a good point, because if people have a different way about them, and that's the way I kind of look at people with autism and the sort, they've just got a different way to them. Doesn't mean that there's anything to fear. I mean, they're people. They're people. Autistic people come in good and bad people, just like anybody else, good and bad people. You can find good and bad in everything out there. And the lawn dog says that I fear the future and what I know what appears to be coming more than I do death. I see nothing good coming our way. The I don't fear. I don't like what I see on the horizon. I don't like what our world is going, where our country is going. I don't like any of that. I really don't. I'm not afraid of it. I don't have fear of it because life will find a way. Life will find a way. And life is life, good, bad, or indifferent. What's the most important thing to me? And that's life and happiness. And that's where I don't like some of the things that are happening, is because it's making so many people unhappy with their lives. And that's what I don't like. But I don't fear the change. Well, I'll take it as it comes and deal with it. See, and that's one of those where others are creating fear by their actions and by the things they do. They're creating fear in a lot of people. And I wish people could slow down, control that fear, and think about what can we do to slow things down and stop this from these things from happening. Because if we react to the fear of the future, we could be actually messing up a future that we would prefer to have. We might be even throwing a wrench in that. And so yeah, yep. The yeah, and that's it. Is anytime somebody else wants to change who you are, you're going to feel fear that they're going to do that to you. Is it the fear of their attempt to change you, who you are, or is it the fear of becoming what they want you to be? For me, it would be the fear of becoming what they think I should be, because I want to be me. I want to be myself. And I have more, on a fear side, I have more fear of becoming something I wouldn't want to be. But fear, it's something we live with. We live with daily. There's always something that triggers a little fear in us. And I think that's one of the keys to us being human, is we have the ability to choose if we're going to be afraid of something or not, except for instinctual fears. Those are the fears where all of a sudden you hear a loud growl and it's only a few feet behind you and you know it, and it sounds like it's running. Something says run, fight and flight. That's an instinctual fear. But there are so many fears in the world constantly that I think what we need to do is really think about our fears and say, do I need to be afraid of that, or do I need to learn more, take control of it, and have a healthy respect for that rather than be afraid of it? So there you go. There's your fear topic for the day. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. It was fun. It's always fun. I love my Sty Times with you guys. Jim is out there announcing that March 31st through April 8th is World Autism Week. And this, from what I read earlier, it's the 8th time they've done this. That's good. That's good. Bring attention to autism and take care of all of our fellow humans out there. So With that, guess what? It's Monday evening. Tuesday is my day off. It's my YouTube day off. I on Tuesdays and Saturdays, there's a couple of shows that I gotta watch. I don't participate typically, but I gotta watch them. Otherwise, this whole studio is shut down for those 2 days, and I make myself busy with life. I've got things I got to get done, and that's what I do on those 2 days. So tomorrow is one of those days, but I'll be back on Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here at Sty Times. And you watch this to the end, you'll see what the topic for the next Sty Times is. It's hard to believe this is the 68th episode already of Sty Times. That's a lot of episodes already. But on we go, right? On we go. Have no fear. Sty will be here. So until then, you all take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you Wednesday evening. Bye-bye. All right. Now I can say bye-bye.